Hello, allow me to introduce you to Little Man. Little Man is a stunning uh, red roan Tennessee walking horse. The red is the variant of liver chestnut, so he give you the illusion of being a black roan. He's 15 and a half hands tall. He's a stocky made horse. This horse is a very strong horse, has very good heart and lungs in that he can carry me all day. And I'm a big man. I'm 6'3", 240 pounds, and so of the horses I've ridden, he's one of the strongest ones, and has one of the best heart and lungs of the horses I've had. To tell you, I guess, more about this horse, you need to understand that I had a background in training bird dogs in my 20s and 30s. I'm now in my 50s. I rode Tennessee walking horses some then, but I didn't own a horse, and I certainly didn't train any horses. It's something that I wanted to do. And about 10 years ago, I got my first Tennessee walking horse, and I trained it. And after riding it for a year, give it to my wife, and then I started riding another one that I had in training. And so I enjoyed the training, and so since then I have trained 7 or 8 horses, and I've sold 3 horses, and I have trained some for a couple of friends that bought the colts and trained them, and then for them. But I do not train horses for the public. And I do not buy and sell horses, buy horses to sell, buy them, brush them up, and then sell them. All the horses that I've had, I've taken as weanlings to 2-year-olds, and have trained them for my own personal horses. And it's just a simple fact that my wife and I only have time to ride 2 horses, and so in order for me to continue training, I have to sell the horse that I'm currently riding in order to train another one. I currently have a 2-year-old that have just started riding now, and that's why I'm selling Little Man. Little Man's a no problem horse. He's an excellent horse in every way. I bought him as a yearling from a friend of mine, and he was raised at Swift Walking Farms by Mandy Ema. Mandy was the farm manager there. She now has I think, her own farm. And but with that said, my goal was to raise very trusting, very obedient, very safe horses to ride. My wife rides, my kids and grandkids ride with me occasionally, and I wanted very safe, reliable horses. With that, you'll notice a lot of my training techniques. I did watch all of Clinton Anderson's fundamentals and intermediate videotapes. He's an excellent teacher. I learned a tremendous amount from him. Also had mentors locally that would help me when I would run into snags and problems. I've picked up a lot from Craig Cameron, as well as Michael Gascon. And you'll see some of their techniques and a lot of the things that I've incorporated kind of into my own little personal training program that I do. The things I've liked and didn't like out of different ones I've added to and taken away from. But you see me doing a lot of desensitizing in the round pen, and if you've ridden horses, and I'm sure you have, you know how spooky they can be when unexpected things happen, or they see boogers that really aren't there. And I spend a lot of time trying to find different things to make them spook, and try to take that fear away from them, so that they are safe. And again, keep in mind that as I ride with my kids and grandkids and my wife, my goal is safety first in everything that I do in the training of my horses. My horses walk over logs, they don't jump over logs. My horses walk down hills, they do not rush going down hills. They don't rush going through water. I've trained them to go very slow and to be very safe there. You see me bouncing this medicine ball off of this horse, and I firmly a big believer in that. We had a deer run right into my wife's horse, and he spun around 180 degrees and stood still, and it kept her safe. We have, occasionally we'll run into a turkey or a flock of turkeys that fly up all around us, and our horses may stop and stand stiff leg for a moment, but that's, the most of the reaction that we get out of them. And again, it's all about safety first. As we trail ride, we trail ride primarily at a friend of mine's farm where the horses are where the horses stay. And speaking of which, my horses stay in the pasture. They stay out in the pasture 24/7, 365. I do not carry them and put them in a barn unless it's really severe weather. I have done it with ice storms and with really severe weather. But I feel like it keeps my horses calmer and less spooky, less pent up energy. We do see our horses every day. They get fed grain every day. They've got the best pasture. They get shoes put on every 6 to 8 weeks. And they get ridden every week. And one of the things about riding here at the farm is we ride together. He rides with his pasture mate. And so, I go to extensive measures to keep him from being buddy sour or barn sour, which, can get to be a problem when you ride a lot at your home. We also trailer the horses, and we've gone on, we have a national forest here within an hour of the house, and really 3 or 4 big trail rides that you can do within an hour of the house. So we early on, we had more time, and we did go and ride those trails every week. Now, we ride them every month or two, just we have 13 grandkids, so we have less time to travel like that to ride, but we do, and we've been to South Fork in Tennessee and various places over time riding our horses. And so you see me not introducing, but actually Little Man had all his groundwork done as a 2-year-old, and so he's kind of being reintroduced to it. As I decided to take on this colt, I did not get him up and brush him up on any of these groundwork techniques. I just simply, didn't have time to do that. I wanted to just start him right there where he was, and you can see he's retained all of this and has done very good. But desensitizing is something that's very important to me. I don't think that I've mentioned that, I'll always look for different ways to scare the horses, if it's helium balloons or tarps or medicine balls or anything that I can find that I can desensitize them to. I feel like it just makes them safer horses. I mentioned earlier, this is a no-problem horse. There's no problems with the farrier. You see me lifting his feet and tapping on his feet. And he's just a very trusting, very obedient horse. I think of horses as being on, you think of horses being hotter or colder, or some people would refer to them as being reactive or sensitive, being hotter, or pushy, duller on the colder side.
Okay, so I'm going to load Little Man for you 2 ways. The first way, I'm going to carry him up in here and back him out.
I would say that he
this
would
horse
be
has
on
never
the
been
colder
allowed to
side
turn around and walk
than the hotter
forward
side, but
out
he's
of a
certainly
tray.
close to the middle.
Okay,
He's
so
got enough giddy up
you'll
and
walk
go
up in
to
here with
on
me
the ride.
calmly. Normally, of course, we
But
would
he
fasten
is
him in
not
here
reactive
and then shut
where, he's
the
really
petition,
jumpy or
but I'm
got
gonna
a
go
lot
ahead
of
and back
fire
him
to
out.
that would intimidate you to ride him. Certainly an advanced beginner or an intermediate rider
Okay,
would
so then
certainly
we'll
have
shut
no
this
trouble.
petition. And
When
this
I
one.
load my horses in my
And I'm
trailer,
just gonna send him up in
they
here, and
never
I'll
are
go
allowed
pick him
to walk
from
out, turn
outside
around, and
this
walk
window
out
after he
frontwards.
comes
They've never experienced that. They always back out, and that's a safety issue for me. You can send this horse up into the trailer, as you see that I've done there, and back him out
So
from
then
the
to back
window.
him out, I'm just
Or,
going to
you can lead him up in there and snap him in and walk out. Either way, he's been accustomed him to both, depending on
And
the
he'll
trailer
back out and I come around and catch him. So there's your trailer.
where we're at the time. Again, a very experienced 5-year-old horse. You wouldn't think would have any issues with bridling or saddling him. You know, I don't baby him at all. I throw the saddle on. I purposely do that is to keep him desensitized to just anything and everything that could possibly happen.
It's not an issue. If you ride Western, it's
You
not
also
an
see in the
issue.
background my Australian Shepherd. We ride with our dogs, and again, it's something that they're used to, accustomed to animals darting out in front of them, coming up from behind them,
He don't have any issues with
and
his
so
saddling.
it's something
Or
again.
his
I think
bridling
it's a
under normal
safety issue
conditions.
for me. It's something that the horses get used to,
But with that,
and so they're
I'll
not
saddle him up. There's
kicking
no
or
need in wasting
spooking
film.
or reacting in any way
Finishing
to
that.
anything
I'll finish it and
that's
we'll show
that's
you some,
around them.
obstacles next on
And
riding him through
Again, I
obstacles.
think that's it should be very important to everybody is staying safe. I'm going to show you now on the video just some obstacles and some of the ways that I handle this horse from his back. This is a 3.5, 4 feet step off into a ditch here, just from the pasture where he stayed. You can see that he's looking at it and steps on off into it, and that's the way I want him to do every obstacle that could be dangerous, is to do it very slow and very deliberately.
Earlier, but from the ground, very early on, I start neck
I
flexing
neck
horses.
flex him here.
and
That's
you'll see me do
part
that
of what
a
I
lot.
do a lot when I
Also,
ride him. I want him to be very supple and very
drop their
soft.
head.
Give his
Okay,
head
this is a little
laterally and
concrete
vertically,
bridge
as you
here on
saw
the
there at the
farm.
end.
Again, this horse has been exposed. There's
and be
so
very
many
light
ways
doing
to cross the creeks here.
You see here we
But,
have a
there's
small concrete bridge
He's been over
on
it
the farm.
gazillion times. He don't have a
Been
problem
an excellent way to
crossing
train my
bridges when we
horses
go on
to
other
accept
trails either.
bridges.
But, you know, we keep him calm
all
doing it.
kinds,
I'll
covered
side pass him right
bridges,
here,
you
try
know,
to.
not
I
been a
hadn't
problem.
really warmed him up to it.
You see me here side passing him again,
I'll
just
show you a few
showing
of the things here that he'll do. We'll go back the other way.
some of the things that I do to keep him soft and supple and responsive.
But this horse is just
under
really
saddle.
good. I'll yield his hind quarters. He knows leg signals.
You know,
Touch
at
him
least
with
once or
legs.
twice on
Reinforce it with your hands.
that I
But
go
going through trails, dodging trees and such, I use my legs. I never have to put this on the bridle.
I mentioned earlier.
He's yielded his hind quarters
Clint
there, and he's
Anderson, Craig Cameron,
he,
and Michael Gaston,
side passed for
the
you.
latest.
So we'll go down
horse
and
trainer
do a
that
pretty long water
I've
crossing, and
followed
then a
closely
deep
and
water
actually did
crossing.
a
Try to
guest
go up and
trainer
down a steep hill while we still got light.
program with him for 4 days at his farm, Michael's farm. He's an incredible gaited horse trainer. But Michael kind of taught me that to take all the resistance out of the horse, to take, you know, if you can control his head and keep him supple, and if you found any areas that he wasn't supple, to find ways to erase them and take that away from him, the better he would gait and the more responsive he would be. And so some of the exercises you see me do, a lot of them from his back, are things that I've learned from Michael. And so this horse is very soft and very supple, and he is very smooth gaited. You see here that I'm walking up one of the creeks on the farm. This creek also floods with any kind of an afternoon thunderstorm, so it's not uncommon for this creek to be 3 feet high, 4 feet high, and rolling along at a pretty good pace, and this horse crosses water like that with no problem also. I'm showing you here a different creek crossing. This creek crossing has a pool of water that gets up, that stays routinely, you know, at 3.5, 4 feet deep. It'll get up over my boots in this video. But just showing you that this horse has no problem with water, whether it's shallow water or whether it's deeper water, that he remains calm and will go where you point him and do it in a manner that's safe and obedient. So he is just an excellent horse. Showing you here some of the handling exercises I had shown earlier. I don't know if you can notice or not. This was done on a different day. I ran out of daylight on the other video, and if you look in the background, you can see that there's storm clouds there's a little wind, a little light rain, which normally means horses get hotter and they're more reactive and jumpier. But you can see this horse remains calm. I've actually ridden him and got caught out in thunderstorms, and you know, he's a very safe, reliable mount. Showing that you can stop him here, leg signals. I just sit back and throw my feet up, raise the reins. You don't have to pull on him, and he'll stop.
Yes, yes.
Very soft horse. I can turn him, you know, push him with my right leg to go left and push him with my left leg to go right. Showing you him flexing here as we're moving. Again, just keeping him very light, you know, and responsive to the rein is my goal here. Stopping him and backing him up again with leg signals and a really light hand. I'll continue to do different riding exercises with him here. And in this case, I'm actually bending him, walking him in a circle, keeping his neck bent, stopping him, and then backing him up with his neck actually bent. And that's something a lot of horses will not do, and it's a great exercise to take away some resistance that they have. And it makes them relax more and makes them more gait even smoother the more relaxed they are. You're seeing here I'm actually yielding his hindquarters or pivoting him on his front end. He will do all of these ground exercises. Again, I'm walking him into a circle, bending and then yielding his hindquarters in the opposite direction. And here I'm doing the opposite. I'm actually pivoting him on his rear end, yielding his forequarters. But he, you know, you can execute these drills with him, yielding his hindquarters, his forequarters. He will side pass. We're just backing him up in a bent position. You can neck flex him as he's moving. And again, all of that makes him more relaxed. And you can see here, I can ride him on a very loose rein and gait him on a very loose rein. You can see him gaiting more slower here. I'll speed him up in a moment. You'll notice his tail's bobbed. I've actually had his tail tied this winter up to keep him out of the mud, and I forgot and left it on when we got through riding, didn't get it off to the next day, and where his hair was bent, it actually broke off. But it's growing back. He has a beautiful flowing tail, very thick, and very thick mane. But you notice a very even four-beated gait. We ride with people that have speed horses or, you know, racking horses, speed rackers, that they ride 20 miles an hour. And, you know, we don't ride that fast, but this horse, you know, will certainly, you know, gait 10, 12 miles an hour is no problem for him. That's about as fast as what we want to go on our trails that we ride when it flattens out. Again, in order to keep him very safe, he's always been trained to step over logs, not jump over logs, to go downhill at a walk, to cross creeks, and any kind of a barrier that could be dangerous. He does at a very slow, deliberate pace, and he's been trained to do that so that, you know, to keep him very safe so he doesn't stumble and fall. If you have any questions about this horse, feel free to give me a call, personal message me, or email me the location given. I'll be happy to call you back. I don't think I mentioned our location. We're in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, which is in the very northwest corner of the state of Alabama. That's about an hour west of Huntsville, about 2 hours east of Memphis, and 2 hours southwest of Nashville. Thank you for looking at Little Man.